Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because the coin we're about to discuss might already be sitting in your drawer, your old toolbox, or tucked away in a forgotten jar in the garage. If you're between 55 and 65 or older, especially if you grew up handling real metal coins that had weight and meaning, this story is going to hit home. Today we're talking about the 1965 1-cent coin from South Africa, the English version. At first glance, it looks like nothing special. A small bronze coin, simple design, modest face value, just 1 cent. Many men have handled it without thinking twice. It passed through markets, farms, petrol stations, and corner shops. It may have even jingled in your pocket decades ago. But here's the truth. Some of these coins are no longer worth just 1 cent. In fact, under the right conditions, they can be worth a life-changing amount. Let's step back to 1965. South Africa was going through significant political and economic shifts. Currency was more than just money, it was identity. The 1-cent coin from that year carries historical weight. The English version features the country name written in English rather than Afrikaans, and that small detail matters deeply to collectors. On one side, you'll find the image of Jan van Riebeeck, a figure tied to South Africa's early colonial history. On the other side, the denomination and the year 1965 are clearly stamped. Now here's where things get interesting. Not all 1965 1-cent coins are equal. Most were mass-produced and heavily circulated. Those coins show wear, scratches, fading details, discoloration. These are common, but a very small number were struck with exceptional sharpness, preserved in almost flawless condition, or contain rare minting variations that only experienced collectors recognize. Collectors, especially serious male collectors in the 55 to 65 plus age group, understand something younger generations often overlook. Condition is everything. A coin that has survived 6 decades without heavy wear is extremely rare. We're talking about coins that were either stored away immediately after minting or preserved carefully over the years. There are specific features experts look for. Strong, clear lettering, sharp edges on the portrait, no smoothing on the high points of the design, original bronze luster still visible, and most importantly, the English inscription version combined with top-tier preservation. Some rare pieces may even show subtle minting errors, slight off-center strikes, double impressions, or metal composition irregularities. These mistakes were not intentional, but in the world of numismatics, mistakes can mean money. Serious money. Men who have been collecting for decades understand the thrill of discovering value in something overlooked. It's not just about profit. It's about history, patience, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing you held on to something others dismissed. That 1965 1-cent coin may have been handed to you as change when petrol cost just a fraction of what it does today. Back then, nobody imagined it could someday become highly desirable. The coin market has changed dramatically over the years. As more collectors enter retirement age, they begin investing in tangible assets. Coins are not just metal, they are history you can hold. Unlike paper money, bronze coins from that era have survived in limited high-grade quantities. Many were lost, damaged, melted, or simply worn beyond collectible condition. Another factor driving demand is nostalgia. Men in their late 50s, 60s, and beyond often seek items that connect them to their youth. The 1965 1-cent coin represents a different era, a time of mechanical precision, simpler economies, and physical currency that felt solid in the hand. That emotional connection fuels demand in auctions and private sales. Now let's talk numbers in practical terms. In average circulated condition, the 1965 1-cent coin may still be worth only a modest amount, a few dollars, sometimes less. But that's not what we're focusing on. We're talking about the rare examples, the coins that were never mishandled, the coins that still show full detail, the coins that have been professionally graded and authenticated. Professional grading can dramatically increase value. When a coin receives a high-grade rating from a respected grading authority, collectors gain confidence. Confidence drives bidding, and bidding drives prices higher. Over the past several years, Rare South African coins from the 1960s have gained serious attention in the global market. And here's what most people don't realize. As older collections come onto the market, often when estates are settled, rare coins resurface. When two determined collectors both want the same coin, price becomes secondary. Pride, competition, and the desire to complete a collection take over. Imagine finding one of these coins in near-perfect condition. Imagine sending it for grading. Imagine the anticipation as the grade is revealed. And then imagine the bidding beginning. It has happened before. Collectors who once paid pocket change for a coin later discovered it had become one of the rarest surviving high-grade examples. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary can be microscopic. A sharper line, a cleaner surface, a slightly richer bronze tone. That if you are watching this and you have old coin jars, inherited collections, or coins stored away from decades ago, now is the time to take a closer look. Do not clean the coin. Do not polish it. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Keep it exactly as it is. Handle it carefully by the edges. Store it safely.
Subscribe now and stay with me, because stories like this are disappearing fast, and once you hear the end, you'll understand why collectors all over the world are still talking about this coin. Close your eyes for a moment, and imagine the year 1969. The sound of a radio in the background, newspapers folded under an arm, hard work, discipline, and pride in earning every cent. Money meant something then. Coins were not just metal, they were proof of effort, responsibility, and survival. In that very year, in South Africa, a small copper-colored coin entered circulation quietly. No celebration. No announcement. Just a simple 1-cent coin, English legend, passing from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, unnoticed by almost everyone. Most people spent it without a second thought. Children dropped it on dusty roads. Shopkeepers stacked it in wooden drawers. Workers carried it home after long days, never imagining that decades later, men would sit back in their chairs, lean forward, and feel their pulse rise just hearing its name. This 1-cent coin from 1969 is not powerful because of its size. It is powerful because of what it represents. A nation in transition. An era when coins were struck with care, weight, and meaning. The design was simple, honest, and firm, just like the generation that used it. No flashy tricks. No distractions. Just solid metal and clear purpose. Now think about this. How many coins have passed through your hands in your lifetime? Thousands? Tens of thousands? How many did you truly look at? How many did you keep? That's where the story turns. Because history does not reward the careless. It rewards the ones who pause, who observe, who preserve. The 1969 South African 1-cent coin was produced during a time when minting standards were changing. Materials, pressure, alignment, and die preparation all mattered. A tiny variation, invisible to the untrained eye, could change everything. Most of these coins lived ordinary lives and disappeared into time. But a very small number were different. Struck just slightly off. Pressed just a bit stronger. Preserved just a bit better. Collectors today don't see just copper. They see survival. They see rarity created not by intention, but by circumstance. And for men who understand craftsmanship, legacy, and patience, this coin speaks louder than gold jewelry or modern paper money ever could. Picture a man in his late 60s opening an old tin box. Inside are tools, buttons, maybe a watch that no longer ticks. At the bottom, a handful of old coins wrapped in cloth. That moment of discovery, that quiet breath, that realization that something small has endured longer than many promises ever did. That is where the power of this coin lives. This is not about luck. This is about understanding time. About knowing that the world changes, but certain objects carry their value forward, waiting for the right eyes. The 1-cent 1969 coin is one of those objects. It survived inflation. It survived modernization. It survived being forgotten. Men who lived through the 60s know what endurance means. They know what it means to build something slowly, to protect it, to pass it on. That's why this coin resonates so deeply with that generation. It is a mirror of their own journey. Collectors today search for condition, strike quality, and history. They search for coins that were never cleaned, never damaged, never mistreated. They search for pieces that still carry the original strength they were born with. And when one of these 1969 1-cent coins appears in exceptional form, hearts beat faster, voices lower, and negotiations become serious. Because here is the truth many people don't realize. The value of a coin is not decided by its face value. It is decided by rarity, demand, and story. And this coin has all three. It comes from a meaningful year. It comes from a respected minting period. And it comes from an era that will never return. Every year, fewer of these coins remain in top condition. Every year, more collectors enter the market. And every year, the distance between ordinary examples and extraordinary ones grows wider. That gap is where legends are born. Some men invest in land. Some in machines. Some in memories. But a few understand that history itself can be held in the palm of your hand. Silent. Heavy. Patient. Now stay with me, because this is the moment you've been waiting for. When experts talk about the most exceptional preserved examples of the 1969 South African 1-center coin, the conversation changes completely. We are no longer talking about cents. We are talking about record-breaking private sales, locked vaults, and collectors who never speak publicly. In the highest circles of elite numismatics, one such extraordinary specimen, with unmatched preservation and unique mint characteristics, has been associated with a value reaching as high as $22 million. Yes, a 1-cent coin. From 1969. Worth $22 million.
Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a story that might just change the way you look at those old coins lying in your drawers. Because today, we're diving deep into a small piece of bronze that carries the weight of history, memory, and an unbelievable fortune. Now, close your eyes for a moment and imagine it's 1967. The world is changing. Radios crackle with the news of revolutions. The hum of new cars fills the air, and somewhere in South Africa, a minting press strikes a coin. Small, humble, but destined to become something extraordinary. It's just 1 cent, tiny, brown, and often overlooked. But this particular 1967 1-cent coin, holds a story that many collectors would give anything to possess. Picture that coin. On one side, the elegant portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch colonial figure whose image once symbolized South Africa's history. The engraving is sharp, the letters South Africa, Suid-Afrika, split between two languages, English and Afrikaans, a sign of the nation's dual heritage. And then, on the reverse, the graceful image of a pair of Cape sparrows, small birds resting on a branch, symbolizing simplicity and the everyday beauty of life in the Southern Hemisphere. At first glance, it's just a coin. A cent that might have bought a few sweets from the corner shop or been handed over for a newspaper. Yet, behind that small coin lies the spirit of a generation. For men who grew up in those years, coins weren't just currency. They were tokens of a world that moved slower, when hard work, pride, and craftsmanship mattered most. You didn't swipe cards or tap phones. You carried real money. You felt the weight of it. And this coin, struck in bronze, holds that same kind of honest weight. Now, here's where the story takes a turn. Not every 1967 1-cent coin is just another piece of pocket change. Somewhere, in the mints of Pretoria, a few special coins were struck differently. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was intentional. But a handful of coins came out with an extraordinary level of perfection. Flawless surfaces, razor-sharp details, and a mint luster that time couldn't dull. Collectors call these proof strikes, or mint errors, and over the decades, They've become the stuff of legend. Some say only a few of these coins survived. Others whisper that one in particular carries a marking mistake that makes it one of a kind. For decades, it was forgotten, tossed into jars, drawers, and boxes, waiting for someone with the right eye to rediscover it. Imagine that, a treasure worth millions, sitting quietly in someone's old tin of coins, gathering dust. You see, for collectors, the 1967 1-cent coin represents more than metal. It's a symbol of a nation's transition, from the British Commonwealth to an independent identity, from colonial pasts to modern ambitions. It's the kind of coin that tells stories without needing words. When you hold it, you feel time slow down. You feel connection to history, to craftsmanship, to your own memories of simpler times. Think back to when coins had meaning. You'd jingle them in your pocket, counting out each cent. You might have even given one just like this to a young child, showing them how money works, teaching them about value, not just price. Today, we swipe and forget. But coins like the 1967 1-cent remind us of what value used to mean: effort, patience, and pride. Now, as decades passed, collectors began noticing something unusual. The 1967 1-cent coin, especially the English version, started gaining attention at auctions. At first, it fetched a few hundred, then a few thousand. The demand wasn't just from South Africa, but from collectors across the globe who wanted a piece of this post-colonial rarity. They saw it as a bridge between eras, a coin that marked the last breath of the old world before the new one arrived. Experts examined it closely. They noted how the edges were struck, the precision of the lettering, the fine lines and the feathers of those tiny sparrows. The more they looked, the more they realized this coin wasn't ordinary. Its craftsmanship rivaled even the finest proof coins of that decade. And as with any collectible, rarity plus history equals value beyond imagination. For many older gentlemen, perhaps men like you watching right now, this coin isn't just about money. It's about legacy. It's about remembering a time when the world seemed steadier, when your first job might have paid you in coins just like it, when saving meant dropping pennies into a tin and watching them pile up, dreaming of what they might buy someday. Those little coins carried dreams. And this one, this 1967 1-cent, carries a dream so large it's hard to believe. Collectors and historians now speak of it in reverent tones. They say that among all the South African cents ever struck, this one stands out like a diamond among pebbles. Only a handful remain in pristine condition. Some may never be found again. But one, a single piece verified by experts, changed everything. It sold at an international auction for a price that shocked even seasoned dealers. Imagine standing there, holding a coin once worth a single cent, and realizing it could buy you a mansion, a yacht, or change your family's future forever. That's what happened. Because this little bronze beauty, the 1967 1-cent English version from South Africa, reached a staggering value of $7 million. Yes, $7 million for something that once jingled in someone's pocket, forgotten and dismissed as small change.so. The next time you open that old box of coins from your father or grandfather, take a closer look. Wipe off the dust. Turn each one under the light. Because you never know, history might be sitting right there in your hands. It's not just about what it's worth, it's about what it represents. A lifetime of memories. A window into a world that once was. And if you've still got that spark of curiosity, that thrill of discovery that never fades no matter how many birthdays you've seen, then keep watching, keep exploring, and don't forget, even the smallest coin can hold the greatest story. Subscribe now, because next time, we'll uncover another hidden gem of history that could be waiting just a few feet from where you're sitting. But for today, remember this: a single cent from 1967, struck in South Africa, carrying the whispers of time, has become one of the most valuable coins ever known, worth a jaw-dropping $7 million.